Hey there, this is Kathy with Be Creative with Kathy, and today I wanted to show you this cute little book-bound card. I think that's what they call this style of card. It opens like this, so it kind of opens like a book and it's bound here at the side. But this is my April swap for my team. Us creative friends, we all get together and do a swap once a month, and so this is the card that I'm going to do for my team. And I wanted to do that book bound card, and the perfect stamp set to go with it was this Peek Puffin stamp set. Now this isn't available yet, it's only available to demonstrators in the pre-order, but it'll be available in our new annual catalog starting May 4th. So let me show you how to do those cards. Bookbind, I guess is what I'm going to call it. I don't know if that's what it's called or not. But I'm going to start by getting the base ready so it has time to dry before we go on. So with my paper trimmer, I have a piece of designer series paper here. In fact, I'm going to make 2 cards in this video so I can finish up my swaps. And this piece of cardstock is 4 inches by 5 inches, and I'm going to cut it down to 4.5 by 4. And the reason I'm going to do it this way is because I want to use this little strip on the binding of my card. And this cute designer series paper, in case you didn't realize, is part of the Ice Cream Corner designer series paper. Usually when you see this side, it's easier to tell. But I absolutely love these little stripes and all the bright colors for my Puffin's birthday card. Okay, so I set it up again, 4.5. So I have a 1/2 inch strip here. And if you need the measurements, or if I happen to say the wrong measurements here, I would check my blog. All the right measurements are on my blog, becreativewithkathy.com. If you're here on YouTube, you can see it down there in the description. You click on that link, or you might have to copy and paste, and it'll take you right to the right blog post. So then I have a 1/2 sheet of cardstock here. It's 11 inches by 4 1/4, and then I have scored it here at 5.5 and 6 1/4. So then I can fold this back, making sure it lines up so it's straight here, and my card looks good whether it's opened or whether it's closed. And then I'm going to bend this back a little bit to make sure it has a nice crease on that score line. Let's do the other one. Like I said, we're making 2 cards. Whoop, I scored on the wrong one first. Or I fold on the wrong one first. I'm going to fold on that 5.5 inch and then score back, or fold back. We're on that 6 1/4. So it looks like that. And let me fold this one over. Okay, then we're going to just take our designer series paper, a little bit of adhesive on the back. And then I'm going to lay this little piece right here in between those 2 score lines on the front of my card. And then that bigger designer series paper, I'm going to lay here on the front of my card. Looks like that. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and take some ribbon. Now I'm going to use the blackberry striped ribbon. It's also in that ice cream suite, but I love this stuff. I think it ties really nice, and it's that dark purple that we need that coordinates with our cardstock. And on my measurements, I put that you need 16 inches, and to be honest with you, that number might be off a little. I always just tie my ribbon right here on the spool. So I never really measured my ribbon, I guesstimated, but you might want to tie your ribbon like this on the spool, and then you have less waste. So let's look there, tie that little knot just like that. Take some scissors and just trim that off. So it looks like that. Is that not adorable? Now I'm going to center it here and get it where I want here. Make sure my ribbon's in place. And then between those 2 score lines of that bound part, the binding part, I'm going to put liquid glue, and I'm going to put a little bit by this score line, a little bit by this score line, and then I'm going to put even some on my ribbon because we want a nice strong adhesive to hold that down so it doesn't come up when people try to open the card. Then I'm going to set this aside just as is and let that dry a little bit while I work on my second card. So again, on that little 1/2 inch strip, I'm going to just lay this right here on that binding part, or in between those two score lines. The score lines are 3/4 inch apart, that's why the 1/2 inch fits in there nicely. And then I'm going to lay my designer series paper on the front of my card here. Oops, let me make this straight. There we go. And then tie that ribbon right here. Just a real quick, simple knot. Okay, trim those edges. Trim the edges. Trim the ends. There we go, trim the ends. I got one thing on my brain. I can't do two things at once. Okay, then I'm gonna slide that knot is a little bit low. I want it up higher here, so I'm gonna slide it here. I'm gonna make sure it's in the centered from side to side. Excuse me. And then once again, just like before, I'm gonna lay some glue on here. There we go. By this, and some over here on this by this score line, and then some right on that ribbon. So it's really gonna hold, adhere that piece down. Okay, and then I'm gonna let that sit again, this one too, and let it dry just a little bit. Okay, so then I'm going to stamp, and really, let me go back to this piece. I'm gonna let it dry until it almost, look how it's kind of looking clear here and white here. I'm gonna let it till it's almost all clear, and then we'll put it down. That way it's really sticky, but it won't ooze out and be all over in case I got too close to the edges. So that's my plan. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna set up my Stamparatus. Let me move this a little bit further out of the way so it doesn't get glue on it. And I have my base here, and then I have a Stamparatus grid sheet that I'm gonna lay on top of there. My magnet is gonna hold my grid sheet into place. And then if you know me, you know I like to put the sticky grid paper here that's gonna hold my paper to my work surface. And then of course, I have the plate here that's gonna hold my stamps. So we're gonna start with the front of our card. I have a piece of basic white here that's 2 3/4 inch square, and see there again, my sticky grid paper is going to hold it in place. I like to put a little mark here on my grid paper for the corner of my cardstock. Then I'm going to bring that puffin with the hat and lay him right here. And then I'm gonna want my words, "You're the best," right here, but I'm gonna just set those to the side. We'll need those next. I don't wanna put them on the same plate because my puffin, because it's so dark and solid, I'm gonna wanna put a lot of pressure on him, and I'm not gonna put a lot of pressure on my words. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up my puffin here, and I'm going to use Stays On ink and ink him up. Now, the reason for the Stamparatus is I want to probably put 2 coats on my puffin. Like I said, since he's so dark and solid, I'm going to want 2 coats of ink. And with the Stamparatus, that's not a problem whatsoever. You lay that first puffin down and see how he's missing his tail and such. Let me put a little bit of pressure there, but I can go ahead and ink that up again. And always with the first inking of the stamp, you know, it's light. You should always practice once on scratch paper, but since I have the Stamparatus, the first one will be my base. There we go, and look how cute he is. Then let's bring, because we're doing 2 of them, I have another square here, and I'm gonna lay that in that same corner, line it up so it's almost perfect. Probably won't be the exact same, but it'll be close. Ink up my puffin again. Bring that down. And lift it up a little bit, maybe a little bit pressure on his tail. No, and I'm gonna do him one more time. I just want him a nice, dark, solid black for my little puffin. And I think the Stays On is a little bit more of a solid black than what the Memento is. So that's why I'm using the Stays On. Okay, let's set this aside. We're gonna check on our card bases real quick. Here's the first one I did, and see how that glue is almost dry. So now I'm gonna put my silicone mat just in case it oozes out. And I'm gonna lay that down. Make sure that no glue is here on the inside. We wouldn't want to glue our card shut. And I'm going to just put some pressure there and fold that piece down. Get some pressure under that ribbon and make sure, because with the ribbon in there, that's what has to have a lot of glue to hold that shut. Now let's see how this looks now. When you open it, and it's not glued shut, I don't think. Why can't I get it open? There we go. Yeah, now it has a really good adhesive. It's adhered down nice and well. Let's check the other one. Okay, apply some pressure. Make sure my card's not glued shut. Nope, there's no glue here. And then put some pressure on there. And it didn't even ooze out. That's a good day of gluing there. And then now, yep, look, there you go. There, my card is glued shut. So if somebody picked it up this way, it wouldn't open up and come unglued. I want that to make sure it stays shut. So whoever gets my card gets a nice finished card. Okay, let's go back to stamping now that I have my card bases together. We're gonna put that little You're the Best. So I'm gonna bring in another plate. Put the little best where I want it, try to get it straight. That looks pretty good. Pick that up with my plate, ink him up. Now with this one, very little pressure on those little fine line words. You don't want to press too hard. You don't want to smash the red rubber. Yeah, look how nice. Let me do it one more time because I think 2 light coats is better than 1 heavy smashed dark coat. Yeah, look how nice that looks. Okay, let's do the other one. Put him up in this corner here. Like that. A little bit of ink on my words. And there you go. Okay, so real quick, we might as well stamp the inside. So the inside is the same as the Designer Series paper on the front. It's 2.5, nope, that's not 2.5. 4.5 by 4. Now, like I said, I would go check my blog, Be Creative with Kathy, because my mouth sometimes doesn't say what my head thinks, and I would double check my measurements on my blog, because, well, my head doesn't have to think there. I'm going to take this stamp off right here. In fact, I'm going to put it on just a piece of scratch paper, and bring in my little puffin for the corner here. And then I want to put Happy Birthday right here. And now, since this puffin is in this corner, he's going to get more pressure than the Happy Birthday here. So I think it's going to be okay to put both stamps on at the same time this time. To where those other 2 are really close, and the words were a lot smaller than this Happy Birthday. So I'm going to ink up that Happy Birthday, ink up that puffin a little bit. Same, Stays On black ink. Close that down. Apply a lot of pressure to the puffin. Make sure he's nice and inked. Let that ink sink into the paper. A little bit of pressure on my Happy Birthday. And looky there. Okay, one more quick coat on my puffin. I think no, I'm going to do a quick coat on the Happy Birthday. Usually the first time you use that red rubber ink, or that red rubber stamp, he needs to be inked a couple times, and then he's going to be good to go. Let's look now. Oh yeah, oop, no, we got to put a pressure here. Yes, so much better. Okay, we'll set him aside. Now, I've moved my grid paper, but that's okay. All we have to do is put it back up there in the corner, hold it down, put our next piece of paper in this written on corner. I guess that's what you call it. Ink up that Happy Birthday. Ink up a little puffin again. Okay, lay that down. Lots of pressure here, little pressure here. And looky there, oop, one more pressure over here. Oh, and look how cute that is. Okay, now I think we're all, nope, we need to stamp one more thing and then we're all done, but I'm not going to use the Stamparatus because it's just a little bit here. We need this little fish here, and I'm going to stamp him just a couple times, not applying too much pressure. I don't want to squish that red rubber. I just want it to hold my ink to get it on my paper. Now I believe, whoop, we're all done stamping. Let's do some quick coloring. And since I use the Stays On ink, you know I like to color with Stampin' Blends. But since we use the Stays On ink, it's got alcohol, and the Stampin' Blends are alcohol based. That would make a huge mess. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Right markers. I'm going to use the brush tip with a very light touch. Now this is Pool Party. It's just one of those colors that's in my designer series paper. And I'm using a light touch so I don't ruin the brush tip of my pen, and so I can stay in the lines. A light touch is easier. It gives you a little bit of color and doesn't gush out the lines. I'm going to just color one fish just to show you, because then I would fussy cut those out, and just so you don't have to watch me fussy cut, which just means cut them out with a little tiny border, I've done my little fish already. So like my fish, I'm going to use, this is Bermuda Bay. That same tip with a really light touch, I'm going to color the puff up here and those little dots that are on his hat. So when it's a small amount, I don't mind the marker. If it was a large area, I would never use a Stampin' Right marker. I'd use a Stampin' Blend. And I would figure out a way to use Memento rather than Stays On, just because the blends are so color friendly. The Stampin' Right markers are good if you want to color direct onto your stamp, so your stamp makes an image with two different colors. That's where the Stampin' Right markers come in handy. Let me put a little bit on his feet down here. Now this is Pumpkin Pie. In the designer series paper, there's an orange. It's more of the I think it's terracotta tile, but I thought that would be a little bit dark, so I'm going to use the Pumpkin Pie for his little nose here, or I should say the front of his beak. I don't think they have noses. I don't know. I'm not very much of a puffin expert, besides the fact that I think they're really cute. Okay, then we'll get a little bit of him on the inside colored. Hopefully this won't take too long. At least we're on YouTube and you can fast forward through the coloring if you wish. One more here. Then a little bit more color. I'm going to use some crushed curry, just another color from the designer series paper on his beak right here. And then look how cute my little puffins are with a little bit of color. Okay, just a little bit more and we can put our card together. Let's layer these two squares onto two 3-inch Bermuda Bay squares. There, and right there. We're going to put dimensionals on the back of our puffin squares. I always like to put one in the center so the tummy of our square doesn't sag. Maybe that's overkill, I don't exactly know. On the back of my fish, I'm going to just take a glue dot here and then just add him so it looks like this little puffin is bringing a fish as a gift to the birthday party. Because who doesn't want a fish for their birthday? Lay that one right there. Oh my gosh, so cute. I love this stamp set. Then, okay, we're going to bring in our card front. Or no, this is our card base. We're going to lay this square here on the card front. And a little puffin right there. And a little puffin right there. We have a little bit of wiry ribbon here I need to fix. There we go, fix my wire ribbon. Okay, when your ribbon does that, we need to discuss or convince it to flip the other way. Just with a little bit of convincing. Well, he is stubborn, he is. There we go. That's a little better. That might drive me nuts. We're just gonna trim him shorter. Teach him to argue with me. There we go. Okay, and then we just got to put the inside of our cards right here. All right, so like I said, if you need the measurements again, feel free to visit my blog, becreativewithkathy.com. The link is below in the description, and you can copy and paste or hopefully click on the link and it'll take you right to the right blog post for all the measurements. If there's any supplies that you need to purchase from this card, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can visit my online store. The link to that too is below, or there's a shop now button on my blog. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you here again next Friday. Oh, no, today's Friday. I'll see you nope, today's Monday. Never mind. I don't know. Maybe I'll go take a nap. Have a great day. Bye-bye.